recording! Yay!
We are recording, and this is so going to go into the outtakes, or we'll just start the video with that. Hello and welcome, everyone, to, are we calling this the first official episode of the Making Stories podcast?
Yes, this is the very first episode.
We're doing it. We're making a podcast. So if you've been watching our YouTube channel for the past few months, you'll have seen that we did quite a few live streams, which was super fun, and we absolutely loved it. We recently did a little survey, and by we, I mean the lovely Claire, and it turns out that people don't really watch our videos live, but like watching them after we've gone live, which is totally okay.
Of course it is.
It absolutely, and it's also great because it allows us to actually pre-record the video, which we're hoping will help a little bit with audio and video issues, because if you're doing a live stream, inevitably, and you might have seen this happening with our live streams as well, there will be some technical glitches because internet connections are not always stable. Also, hosts are not always super on top of their technology. Not sure what I'm talking about here. But anyways, talking about hosts, maybe I should actually say who we are and why we're here.
Good idea.
Yay. So I'm Hanna Lisa. I'm based in Berlin, one of the founders of Making Stories. And that is my lovely, wonderful, saving my ass multiple times a day colleague and dear, dear friend Claire, who's based in Canada. And the two of us, we run Making Stories. Making Stories, if you are watching this, you probably know who we are and what we do. In case you don't, we're an independent, we're a publishing company. We publish a magazine twice a year. We just published issue 4 at the beginning of September. I'm strangling myself in my headphones. This is issue 4. And this is about this is essentially what you can expect from this podcast. We're here in our full, slightly weird selves, sharing what we're working on as Making Stories, because we love seeing when others share their behind the scenes. Is kind of what we want to do as well. And both Claire and I love knitting, so we're also always going to be sharing what we're working on. Yeah,
that was very good.
I was very improvised.
It was very good. You covered everything. Yeah.
Yay.
I'm really excited to start this because I think it's fun to show people that it is literally me and you who are doing the day-to-day running. We have some great people that we work with who are fantastic, our tech editors, designers, all our contributors and everyone else. But if you get in touch with us, it's either me or you, which I think is nice for people to see sometimes, because then they know the slightly odd people who are answering the emails.
Also the human people, because I mean, one of the reasons why I left the corporate world and decided to start my own business was that I just wanted to be myself at work and not play any roles. And that's one of the beauties of having a small business. You know, we are human, we're not Amazon, and there's a lot of beauty in that. You know, we don't maybe offer next day delivery or anything like that.
No, we're not Amazon.
No, and it's a good thing.
It is a good thing. It's worth the wait when you get a magazine. Actually, maybe that's a good idea though. Maybe we should give people a little bit of background to what we've done before, because a lot of people probably don't know where you worked before and what you were doing and that kind of thing.
You mean like personal background? Ooh.
Yeah,
I love it.
like where you were working before, because you just said about the corporate world and all that.
Oh, sure. I'm not entirely sure if I've actually ever talked about this in the Making Stories context. I've talked about this at length in my other projects that I did up until the beginning of this year, I think.
You don't have to talk about it.
No, it's perfectly fine. No, it's perfectly fine. I studied economics and business management way back when I was in university. I look young. I'm not super young anymore. My back.
Probably little.
You're like a couple of years older than I am. Like, you don't.
Oh yeah, I'm young as well. I stick to that too.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, anyways, I always feel like a little bit like a fraud when I say way back when in university. But it's been like 15 years since I started studying, which for me is a long time.
Yeah, I just did the maths for mine as well, which is scary.
So anyways, so after I finished my studies, I did a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and then I started working in a big consulting company, and I did that for a couple of years, and then decided to leave that job, and became COO of a small company based in Berlin. We were about 50 people at that time. The company had been around for about 15 years. And I was responsible for product management and marketing and HR. So 3 very different things. If you don't know what product management is, it was basically a software company. And if I was responsible, or my team was responsible for sort of defining what we were going to build and how the thing that we already built, which was a marketplace, how we were going to change that and all of that. And marketing and HR, you probably know what that is. I stayed at that company up until the end of 2015. Is that right? Yeah. This is my 5th year of not being employed. How is this?
Yeah.
How is this even possible? I don't even know.
No idea.
So I left that job, and I was in a very fortunate position at that time because I'd been saving up. I am not entirely sure if you are familiar with that term, fuck off money. By the way, this is absolutely going to be an explicit podcast. I cannot stop myself. I am swearing. I'm not sorry for it.
No, don't be sorry for it.
So that fuck off, or also called fuck you money, is a little fun that you have at the side. And if you hate your job, or you hate your relationship, or you just need to get out, you can tap into that fund and make it happen, which I think is a brilliant concept. I'm not earning enough money to build up a second fuck off money fund right now. But anyways, if you are in the privileged position that you do earn enough money, highly recommend it, because that's what allowed me to leave that job and take an entire year just to explore what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, work-wise, basically. Nice. I've been embarking on a journey towards slow living at that time, and if you're familiar with slow living, if you've gone through sort of some of the things that people do when they embark on a slow living journey, like, looking at your activities and cutting them down, and looking at who you spend your time with, and really only keeping people in your life who make you really happy and support you, and all of those things. It can start as innocent as just cleaning out your wardrobe, and it can lead to where it led me, which was a severe existential crisis. And oh my freaking God, I'm going to be working for multiple decades to come. And I really want to do work that's meaningful and that fulfills me and that changes something in the world. So yeah, we're in like existential crisis mode in like minute 10 of this podcast. This is like really serious.
No, it's good.
That's where I was at the end of 2015, beginning of 2016. So I said, well, I'm going to take a year and figure out what that could look like. Yeah, because I have no idea. For me, up until then, success was climbing the corporate ladder, earning more money, earning more titles. And I was good at it. I was really good at it. And then I was like, I don't want this anymore. And that was one of the best choices of my life. The other choice is upstairs, and the other choice is in daycare right now. So, yeah, and that was I'm aware that was a privilege, being able to take that year. And it was around that time when I had started knitting again, sort of in 2014, I think. And I really, really, really got into knitting in 2015, and then decided in 2016 I was gonna start sharing what I knit on Instagram, and it just all spiraled from there, really. Like,
that's so cool.
that.
That's how knitting gets you, though, when you start knitting.
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy if I reflect on it. I remember at the beginning of 2016, I was like, all right, I'm going to just set myself a little challenge. I'm going to post one photo a day on Instagram. And most of it was knitting, really. And that's what got me into the knitting community. And fast forward 5 years, almost 5 years later, we have a company.
It's crazy, isn't it?
This, like, what?
I know.
So I'm not entirely sure. We can dive into the origin story of making stories maybe in another episode. Definitely. Otherwise, we'll take up like 15 minutes. But this is where I come from. So I'm a trained business person. I know some of the stuff that comes with running a business, about, I'd say, 2.75%. All of the rest I've learned on the job, and I often have the feeling I'm only scratching the surface of what I should actually know, and I'm learning new things daily. So this is also one of the reasons I think why we wanted to make this podcast, because we wanted to share this. Like, we wanted to share the behind the scenes and the struggles and the good things, and just take you with us on the journey of how we make the magazine, how we make other things that we have in store for you. And
exactly. I think it's nice. I think it's nice for people to know kind of where we come from as well, just because I think buying the magazine is directly supporting the magazine and the work we're doing. So it only seems fair that people know who they're supporting and kind of what we're about and how strange we are in real life. I'm actually slightly regretting asking you, because your kind of origin leading up to this is much more exciting than mine.
How about you, though? Tell us. Also, can we just for a very short second realize that my mug is color coordinating with your sweater?
And I keep looking at it and I want it, because that's one of my favorite colors and it's super nice.
I made it.
You made that mug? No, it's amazing.
It's very cricket. I love it.
I love it. And this is actually my favorite knit. Dare I say it? Can I choose a favorite knit? And I know it's the one that gets worn all the time. It's not as flashy as some other knits, but I wear it all the time. I absolutely love it.
I love it. Okay, what is it?
I will tell you. I'm thinking. It's sorry. As I was doing it, then I was like, oh God, what's the name of it? It's a Hurling Sweater by Verena Kors, which I absolutely love. It's a fabulous pattern. You can find it on Ravelry, and you can find it on the Sustainablist website as well. And basically, it has lots of different gauges. So it's just like it's a plain raglan, it's a compound raglan sweater. I knit the sleeve straight. That's the only mod I did, and kind of shortened it a little bit. But I absolutely love it. It goes literally with everything. I can wear it over dresses. I can wear it with my jeans. And it's knit in Ginger Twist, Mash and Mayhem 4-ply. So the only thing is, it took the top and the body was fine, and then for some reason I got onto the sleeves in 4-ply, and I was like, oh dear God, let it end. But it was so worth it, because like I never take it off. So yeah, that's my jumper, and I love your
I love it. I so love it. Also, I'm not entirely sure, you're probably not watching this, but if you're watching this, Jess from Ginger Twist Studio, we love you and congratulations.
I know. This child, so nice, so
Yes.
excited. I love
Yep.
seeing her photos on Instagram. It's so much fun.
Me too. Yeah. And we got sidetracked a little bit there. Let me take us back to your origin story.
Oh, right, yeah. That will happen a lot. I get easily distracted. So my origin story is not nearly as exciting as Hanna Lisa's, but
I disagree.
I come from a background of I'm very much in the design route originally. I've never really been one, which is crazy. I've always been terrible at maths and terrible, like not really drawn towards writing, and I've ended up being a knitwear designer and being a marketing manager where I have to write a lot. So that was kind of a surprise, but I originally was trained for theatre design. So I went to, if anyone, all the Brits, if you know the Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts, that's where I went to university in Liverpool, which is a fabulous city. So a big shout out to the Liverpudlians, if any of you are watching. So I did mainly puppetry and costume there, and some set design and all the rest. So that's kind of what I specialized in. And I loved it. It was such a fun course. I had a great few years. But honestly, I kind of came out of it, and you were kind of expected, if you were doing that kind of profession, you kind of had to be in London or somewhere like that, or right in the city. And I like the city, but I soon realized I did a few TV gigs and I did some theatre work. And while I enjoyed it, I kind of I realized I wanted a slower kind of lifestyle, and it wasn't really where I was at. And I wanted to be my own boss as well. I soon realized that. So I kind of took the skills I'd learned and I embarked on a business which ran from 2007 to, it was a good 2017, I guess.
It was, yeah.
I was like, it's about 10 years. I can do that maths at least. So I basically handmade and sold very odd things by the internet. And by odd things, let me just clarify, I just realized how that sounded. Like I made like ornaments. Jeez, here we go.
This is
made like ornaments and
homework. It was inevitable.
At some point I was going to say something weird that made it sound like I sold inappropriate things, which is absolutely fine. I'm all for it. But that's not what I was doing. It was like homewares and like quirky little things. I should be able to describe it better.
Little sprouts.
Sprouts. I was known as a sprout lady for quite some time. I sold via my website and on the high street, and especially around Christmas, I would do lots of like handmade sprout gifts and weird. It sounds very weird because it was, but I did it for 10 years and I loved it for a very long time. And then I didn't love it for quite a long time as well. I kind of, I got really burned out from it. It wasn't a sustainable business in a lot of different ways, in that the hours I put into it, the money-wise coming out of it, wasn't sustainable. And I'd also, I think kind of similar to you, I kind of got onto that path of more sustainable living, and I started to feel uncomfortable with what I was putting out, because I tried to keep everything as natural as possible, but at the end of the day I was churning out mainly sprouts. Weirdly, they were cute, but still churning out all this stuff, especially like in the autumn period ready for Christmas, and it's all about packaging and things, and I kind of got to the point of it just wasn't what I wanted to be doing anymore. And at that time I'd met my now husband, he's Canadian. So I was also traveling back and forth a lot, which ended up was that profession, that business that I was doing was able to support me that way, because I couldn't just go and get another job, because I was splitting my time between England and Canada. And so it was just one of those instances where I was very lucky in a lot of ways to have that job, because it allowed me, like if I'd have had any other job where I couldn't have been traveling back and forth with Chris, I mean, maybe we then wouldn't have been able to be together and I wouldn't be here now. So I was very lucky and very privileged that I had that work to do and I could support myself to a point. And by support myself, I mean accrue slightly less debt than I did from doing it, because that is what ended up happening. But it was just, I knew there was something that I needed to do differently. And strangely, when I started my business, which was called Sozo, I remember saying to friends, I actually want to start something to do with knitting because I really enjoy knitting. But at that point, I had no concept of how that would work. My brain was very much in a, I have to knit things and then sell them to make money, which we all know does not work.
Yeah.
For me, because I knit really slow. So yeah, I went into the sewing side, and like I said, I did that for 10 years. It wasn't working by the end at all, and I was really thankful for it, and it was a really nice business to have for a little while. But I don't know, I turned 30. Am I 36? 6 years ago? So I turned 30, and then I remember turning 30 and thinking, I need to do something different. And I started a blog, which I've never kept up with, but I started Flossy, the blog. And then it kind of built from there. I did test knitting for Verena, and my other friend Kate from Cowtown Knit, who's awesome. I remember I was speaking to her, and she was doing knitwear design, and I sent her a few ideas, and she was like, just go for it and try it. And then honestly, I published my first pattern, and then it kind of snowballed from there into just a complete obsession and knowing that's exactly what I wanted to do. But again, also along the way, that wasn't financially stable, and I knew that I wanted to do something else that also would push me out of my comfort zone a little bit. And I mean, Making Stories was the first publication that published one of my patterns. And I absolutely love Making Stories from the second I saw it. As soon as I saw, because I knew Verena before I knew you, and then so I got to know her, and we met officially at Nottingham Yarn Fest a few years ago. And I fell in love with you completely because you're awesome. And we had so much fun, and I loved the magazine. Well, it wasn't a magazine then; it was Woods. That's all there was.
And, it's up there, on that pile.
Awesome Woods, which is a fantastic publication. And as it went on, I was just following your work, and I remember the position for marketing social media manager came up, and at that time, I couldn't apply for it because I knew I wanted to try and work with you in some other capacity beyond designing, and I was traveling back and forth and nothing was settled, so I couldn't apply for it. And then, as luck would have it, I think a year later the job came up again, and I just kind of got settled here in Nova Scotia, and it was kind of the perfect timing, and I was like, ooh, I'm applying for that, and very luckily got it. That was 2 years ago now. So
2 years ago.
2 years. So
I can't believe it.
So yeah, that's my little origin story.
And I remember when your application landed in my inbox, I did a little happy dance. I was like, yes, I hope she's going to ace the interview, because this is not really, I mean, I think the skill set that you brought on, the knitting world, you're a knitwear designer, you've run your own business, so you're also familiar with, things, especially in a small business, as much as we plan, things also change, and they change on short notice. It's one of the beauties of having a small business. We're a lot more agile than a large corporation, right?
Exactly.
But I think it takes a certain mindset to be comfortable with that and to, you know, feel happy in that type of work environment. And I don't know what I'd do without you. I'd be...
You're so nice.
I'd be a mess.
You're lovely. And it's so much fun. Like I said, I wanted as well to be pushed out of my comfort zone, which is something I constantly, not constantly, it's not like a thing that always happens, but it's like you say, we have to pivot a lot with what's going on and what we're doing, which is kind of nice and quite stressful at times. But, and talk about pushing out of the comfort zone, if you'd have told me I'd have been happily start recording a podcast a year ago, I'd have been like,
no thank you,
talking nonsense, I'm not doing that, that's terrifying. Oh my goodness, when you first started saying you should show your face more on stories, I was like, what now? Honestly, those first few times of recording stories, it would take me about an hour just to record like an initial kind of a thing. So it's kind of fun that we've got to this point. So.
Yes, and I'm so proud of you for that. I know how uncomfortable you were at the beginning, and it's like I kept pushing you and nudged you, and it was like just keep going, and you're so good at video.
Yeah, I think it's less being good at the video and more of just I've had to stop stressing about it, because I was literally, I didn't have the time in my work day to stress about as much, because it literally took me an hour to record 30 seconds of anything. So but no. Oh, that was a good tangent that we just kind of all the things we discussed yesterday about what we're going to talk about, that wasn't
any.
So I just kind of threw a big old hammer in the works.
No, but I like it. I think it's a good thing to start this podcast with. And I think it also brings me onto one topic that we've not really addressed anywhere publicly, but that I know some people are asking themselves, and I think it's about time that we kind of address it. And that's where Verena is. Because if you have been following us for a while, and especially since the beginning, you know that originally we were two founders. Well, we still are two founders. We've founded this company together, Verena and I. And over the course of the last, I'd say about 2 years, you've seen significantly less of her. We've talked about at the end of 2018 about like a little bit about why that is. But I know that some people have been asking, and because there are some changes coming up with regard, like it's not going to change anything about making stories, about anything that you're seeing or anything, but I feel like we've always been transparent about things like that, and we're at a point where we can talk about it. So at the end of 2018, Verena decided to take a step back from making stories, and also from her knitwear design. If you've been following what she does, she was at the end running her business under the brand name Sustainablist, as Claire already mentioned, producing beautiful knitwear designs, gorgeous. My first pair of socks that I ever knit was one of her first designs, and it's absolutely stunning. She had such a gift for seeing patterns and putting them out there. But she fell out of love, as I think like you did with So-So.
Exactly.
I did with previous jobs that I held. And it's okay. You know, there are seasons in life, and sometimes you do realize something is not for you anymore. And that is what happened. And there's nothing, there's nothing bad there, or anything. And it's also what's happening with her and making stories. So you've seen Claire and I have been working on making stories, just the two of us, for basically the past 1.5 years, while Verena took a little step back. And we're going to sort of make this official towards the end of the year, which means ownership of the company will completely be transferred to me. And so that, you know, also the business side of things is kind of split. And there's nothing, I think it's felt, at least to me, and I know to you, and I know to her, it's felt like a natural progression of the journey, the personal journey and the professional journey that she was on. And yeah, it's kind of, it feels a little weird to talk about this like that, because for us it's old news, you know, like we've been working like this for a long time, while she was taking a break to figure out what she wanted to do and whether she wanted to be involved in making stories still or not. And it's this is why I'm not entirely sure what else there is to share about it, other than everything's good.
Everything's absolutely fine.
Nothing is changing for you, just in the spirit of full transparency. This is what's happening behind the scenes, full stop.
Exactly. Yeah, no. It's just one of those things which is completely valid. And I understand it. Like I said, it happened with me for the longest time. I loved what I was doing, and then you don't love it anymore. And I think, and sometimes that's just a temporary thing, but I think you also need to, as Verena did, and I think it's brave to then really look at that and say, actually, this isn't what I want to be doing, because she put a lot of work into it, as both did. So to be able to say, actually, I'm going to have to step back and have a look at things. And like you said, this has been happening. This happened a while ago for us now, and we were giving Verena that space, which was great. So it's all news for us, and but yeah, it's just what happened.
Yeah, it is what it is. And don't you worry, we're both still very much in love with making stories. We're not going anywhere. Don't worry. We have so many exciting things planned, and it's like, I think I speak for the both of us if I say that this year, as much as it's been extremely challenging and sad and anxiety inducing for a lot of us, it's also for us just at making stories and for the work that we've done, it's felt like we're slowly coming into our own again, you know, with refocusing on sustainability, creating more content for the blog, starting the YouTube channel. I think for me, at least, it feels a little bit as if the pieces are slowly starting to fit together again.
I agree.
And it's nice to be able to share that, and it's nice that, you know, there are people out there who see it and recognize it and love what we do.
It's exciting.
Yeah. All right. We've talked and talked. Well, I love talking. I say, why don't we throw the list of things we wanted to talk about completely overboard and just share what we have on the needles, because I think that's also what you're here for. Okay, I have a pile of knitwear here, and I just saw a little sneak peek of something in your, I saw it. Do you want to share what that is?
Yeah, I knew you were going to say about the thing, so I grabbed, because I've shown this off briefly in stories. I'll tell you in a minute. I'm going to show you the thing first, because I finished Multitude, which is by Hanna Lisa. I've got my earphones on, so I can't wait. I can do that. There we go. Just so you
love it. It's a great look. It's like, how do you call them in English? Smurfs? Yeah.
Smurfs?
No, not
Smurf?
like the.
Oh, like the blue people?
Yeah. They have the hats.
Sorry, that was like a genuine thing you call this style of a hat, like a. No, the blue people. No, I completely understand what you mean. Yes, it does. I do look like Smurf. So it looks way better than this when I don't have my earphones on, and I'm so excited about it. I actually showed this off I showed the blocking of this off in stories, and I actually showed a very accurate representation of how I block things, because I did the whole thing of, now we're going to do this, and I'm going to put it in the thing, and I squish out the bubbles, and we're going to leave it to soak for an hour or so. And then a week later, I found it behind the kettle. It's like, ooh. Which happens all the time. Honestly, I find swatches.
Wait, in the water.
Yes. It was like, I went to make a cup of tea and I moved the kettle and I was like, what? Jeez. So I was like, I better rinse that. I was like, oh God, I'm supposed to show people this on stories. So here it is. I'm going to pop on stories later as well for everyone on Instagram to see it actually like this. But it just needs Pom-Pom. That's all it needs now.
It looks okay. It sounds weird if I say it looks so good, but it looks so good.
It does, doesn't it? It looks so good. So this is the original yarn. This is from Wing and a Prayer Farm, and it is. Oh, I'm blanking. It's Olivia and
Hayden.
That was it.
Yep.
And I love it. So
which is a combination of alpaca and cormo.
Well done.
So.
And it feels gorgeous. The thing I love about it, I love alpaca, but I think sometimes if it's too alpaca-y, is that the term? For hats at least, for anything that is going to stretch over, it can kind of get too drapey. I don't know if that's just me.
Yeah.
It's probably because my head's so big and I really stretch things out when I pull them over my head. So this is perfect because the alpaca gives it a really nice halo and like a softness, but it also is quite toothy feeling still.
Yeah.
And the stitch definition is gorgeous. So I absolutely love it. And it needs a pom-pom. So that's the next thing is I'm going to be making a pom-pom. It feels a little damp still, actually. Now, it's probably because it got so wet after a whole week.
That's the beautiful thing about knitting and wool and alpaca, though. You can just leave it in for a week and it won't change.
Exactly. Thanks the Lord. Okay. So yeah, I'm really excited because especially although it's turned really autumnal here, but then the last 2 days we had that feels like 30 degrees humidity. So I finally got a hat that fits my head. And
I was just gonna ask, does it fit? Because you were a little worried that it wouldn't fit.
Yes, no, it fits perfectly because I always knit hats and I have a massive head and a lot of hair and they never fit. I always end up giving them to Mum. Ruthie, who I assume is going to watch at some point because
Hi Ruthie,
she's everything we do.
Love you. Thank you so much for your support.
She's the best. Little Ruthie. So yeah, so it's it. Huzzah! And it's going to have a pom-pom and it's going to be my hat when I watch Tilly all through winter.
That makes me so happy. And if you were wondering, so Multitudes is a pattern that you can find in issue 4 of the magazine. Right now, it's only available as part of this collection. At some point at the beginning of next year, it will be available as an individual pattern in our Making Stories everywhere, web shop stuff, because I'm not publishing patterns under my own name anymore. It doesn't make any sense. It's just we can do it as Making Stories.
Very good.
So yeah, I'm so excited for this. And the pom-pom is just... Try this. Have I told you about my trick with the steaming the pom-pom thingy?
No.
I learned that, I think maybe I saw that first somewhere on Karen Templer's blog. I'm not entirely sure. So if you make a pom-pom, you know how it looks all kind of like little scraggly looking thingy at the beginning, right? Put it in a... what's that name? Like a colander or like
the steamy thing?
Yeah, anything basically that you use to steam veggies or put your pasta through to get the water out, anything, just has to have a few holes. Boil a pot of water and then just put the pom-pom in the thingy, put it over the water. It doesn't have to be boiling anymore. You just want the steam and kind of shake it. It's great.
Really?
Really.
Well, that makes sense because it would kind of felt it up a little bit.
It's sort of like the same thing. You know how some people have these steam blockers, or they use the like irons with the steam function to steam block their knits? It's the same principle. You have the water, like the steam, the hot steam, and that's going to help fluff up the fibers. There's
That's
a lot
amazing.
more scientific terms for that, but that's essentially what it is. Try it.
Ooh, I will try it. And actually, I've been having this is like a completely different thing, but you can get hair steamers for refreshing your hair. And I keep looking at them being like, oh, I wonder if that would work for my unruly hair. And now it's like I've got 2 reasons to buy one if I was to ever get one for the hair and my pom-poms. So I'm going to do that.
And your knits as well, like sweaters. I don't know how like a hair steamer looks like, but you know, I'm assuming if you can do a pom-pom, you can also just freshen up your sweaters a little bit.
That's cool. Ooh, I'm gonna try that.
Yay! Alrighty. How much more time do we have? What do you think? I have like 4 things here. I don't think we have time for 4 things.
We have talked quite a lot. Just go. Just start showing things.
Go. All right. Go. Okay. All right. I think I'm gonna talk about 3 things. One thing I have 5 things.
You have 5 things.
All right. Okay. Anyways, so because we are talking about issue 4, Claire has already worked up a project from issue 4. I have not. I have something on the needles that's slowly growing, and I absolutely adore it. So I thought I would share it with you. So this is
those colors get me every time.
I know. All right. So this is the second hat pattern that we have in issue 4. It's called Tauco. It's by Sari Nordlund. And give me a second. All right. All right. So it's this hat. That beautiful, beautiful hat
I love that hat.
It's what's so fun about it is it's reversible. So one side is this gorgeous lace pattern, and the other side is just plain stockinette, as you can see here. This is the brim, and it's not finished yet. It's like you fold it over at the end, right? Like, so it's not going to be like a gigantic trim. But you fold it over. I think I have about like maybe 4 centimeters, 5 centimeters to go. And because it's 2-color brioche, which I absolutely love and which I don't think is difficult at all, but it's kind of slow going.
Brims always take me forever.
Yeah. But I really like it, and it's one of those things that I just grab, you know, when I'm picking Orin up from daycare and I have like 10 minutes on the bus or something, you know, it's just mindless knitting at this point in time. I'm assuming it's not going to be as mindless anymore when I come to the lace. But yeah, I really, really like it, and I really like how the brioche works up in this woolly yarn. So this is the original yarn from the pattern, and it's the same colors as the sample. So this is gold New Zealand's lammewool, so lamb's wool from New Zealand. It's a fingering weight, and this is the natural gray, and this is dyed. I'm blanking on what this is dyed with. I feel like I should know. But this is this really nice dusty corally pink. And I think it works beautifully. It's heathered because it's dyed on the natural gray base. And I really, really like it. I love that color combination.
Gorgeous.
I'm knitting this on 2.25 mil needles, which is a US... what would that be? US 1. So quite small needles. I had to fudge gauge a little bit. I'm not entirely sure if you've knit Tauco. Something's kind of off with the gauge that we have in the magazine, I have to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's I couldn't get gauge for the life of me, so I kind of winged it. Just, sort of casting on one size and sort of checking against my head and checking against some other patterns that I like, some other hats that I have. I'm gonna double check the gauge once I'm done with a pattern to see if we need to put out errata for this. But yeah, know that if you are knitting on Talco, you think there's something off with the gauge, just send us a message and we'll try to help you.
Please let us know.
Yeah, I just thought I would mention that, not that people think, that's the one thing that I have on my needles. I have so many things on my needles. How did that happen? Usually I'm a monogamous knitter. Clearly I'm not a monogamous knitter anymore. I'd say, should we save our petioles for next time?
Yes. Well, hopefully next time it'll be off the needles and on me. So, because I've got like that much to go in a sleeve.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. I'll just we can share a tiny little sneak peek. So this is my petiole. Petiole is a pattern from issue 3 that we're both knitting.
This is mine.
Oh, it looks so good.
Back or the front? Oh, there we go.
It's the back. Yeah.
I was like, that doesn't look right.
Gorgeous.
So close to being done, and I cannot wait. Although that second sleeve is taking its time. I'm not gonna lie.
The other thing that I wanted to share, that I am going to share, I wanted to share a lot more, but it's a new cast on that I cast on last night, and I did a little bit of work on it yesterday and then today, and it's this. Ooh, this is looking gigantic. That's actually going to be fine.
It will fit me.
Yeah. So this here is a sample that I'm working on for us for Making Stories. If you are a newsletter subscriber, you will be familiar with this hat.
Ooh, it's so nice.
This is the Mainstay Hat. It's a pattern that I designed a while ago, and that you get if you subscribe to our newsletter. You get it as a little thank you. It's a cabley hat.
So nice.
And I wanted to play with sort of how the ribbing translates into the cables. I love it. It's a little bit too short for me. I prefer my hats too.
So.
Yeah, but I mean, I like my hats to cover my ear. So anyways, this was originally designed for Rain Cloud and Sage's Homestead yarn. Rain Cloud and Sage is a yarn company by our friend Ruth, who's also worked with us before, and she sources her fleeces in Germany and has them spun up here in Germany, and does lots of gorgeous things with the yarn and with the fleeces. And she's retiring this base. So Homestead was one of her first bases, and she's retiring it. So we reached out to her to see if she'd be interested in providing yarn support for us to knit up a sample in one of her other bases. And that's what I'm doing. So Ruth has a beautiful sort of heavy fingering weight base called Nord, 350 grams on 100 meters. 350 meters on 100 grams. That way around.
That's the one.
I'm holding a double. So as you can see, I'm pulling from the outside of the cake and from the center of the cake. And I'm knitting up the new sample.
This is going to be so nice.
Yeah, this is the undyed color. It's called Moi Schaf. And yeah, I love how it looks. I'll be honest, I'm not sure what's up with my pattern writing. This is the second size. This looks incredibly big to me.
It does look a bit big. Did you get gauge?
I got gauge, and it's all Yeah.
Double check the gauge that you're at now as you're knitting, because I've been knitting with Nord, as you know, and I had trouble once well, it wasn't trouble. I think it's just once it blocks, because if you go off your block swatch, I found as I was knitting, my gauge kept swapping with that yarn a lot for some reason, because I had to re-knit, because I'm knitting a sweater. I had to re-knit the sleeves again, because I got my gauge really tightened up. That's the thing that I have with wool and spun yarn and sleeves, though, because I do them in magic loop, and I think I overcompensate for the laddering. So double check your gauge now as you're knitting. It might be worth knitting up another quick swatch, seeing where your gauge is at when it's unblocked compared to what it's like when it's blocked.
Yeah, I didn't swatch. See, here's the thing, right? Like, it's a hat, right? I figure I could just knit the brim.
I did the exact same thing, yeah.
And use that as my swatch, which I'm doing, right? Because it's going to be the exact same time that I would put into knitting a swatch. So as I was knitting on this, I was like, I kept double checking it. And the one thing that when I designed the pattern that I was not very clever about is that it actually does not do well with grading, because if you see, you have like this, essentially, this is one pattern repeat, right? Like, that's between my hands, because you have the cables. And I remember that, you know, the size difference, or the difference in sizes, the circumference is quite big, because essentially, you know, I was modifying sort of the purl stitches to the left and right, but then also the repeats. So theoretically, you know, these two should be the same circumference. They're not. We'll see. I tried it on David, and it's fine. I think I'm just going to keep knitting, and I can rip back and redo it anyways.
I would keep knitting and maybe block out what you've got.
Yeah. I also remember, because, you know, like the cables pull the fabric in quite a bit, you know.
Yeah, because if all you've got right now is the brim bit without any cables on, then it's going to get like a lot tighter.
Yeah, exactly. What I am really happy about is that Nordheld Double is really sort of very similar to Homestead in terms of the weight. And I really, really like knitting with the yarn. I think it's super sheepy in a way that I really love it. Like, you know, I don't like overly processed yarn where you don't feel that it's wool anymore. And this is definitely not that.
It's lovely, isn't it?
So I'll be knitting away on this today, tomorrow, and on the weekend, because Monday in a week we have a photo shoot where this needs to be done. So,
and for the rest of issue 5.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I can't wait to show people photos from that. I think it's going to be amazing.
So
I wish I could be there.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be so good. We have so many beautiful patterns for issue 5.
Yeah, I cannot wait.
We have a gorgeous photo shoot location planned.
Cool. So yes, we have a gorgeous photo shoot planned issue 5.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. But we should probably wrap up. But this was fun. I hope everyone's enjoyed our first official podcast. And I hope you'll keep watching.
Yeah, and speaking of keep watching, we kind of reject our schedule a little bit. So this is what you can expect from us going forward. So we will be publishing Making Stories podcast videos twice a month, in the first week and the third week of the month. And in the week in between, so the second week of the month, we'll have a Making Stories Knits with interview with a guest. The interviews won't be live anymore for the most part. right now, we are recording this, and we're gonna record with our guests from now on as well, because we think that will help with audio and video quality. So yeah, you can still send us any questions. If you have any questions about anything that we talked about in this episode, just leave a comment in the down bar below, and we'll be more than happy to answer it. But this is how our schedule is going to look like. So week 1 of the month, Making Stories podcast video. Week 2, Making Stories Knits with interview. Week 3, another Making Stories podcast video. And week 4, we're taking a little break. Maybe we'll do a fun little review of what we did on video, something over on Instagram or something in that week. And then we do it again the next month. We hope you really enjoyed this. Do let us know what you think about the new format. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Send us any questions. Let us know whether you liked it or didn't like it. I hope you liked it.
I hope you liked it too.
Yeah. And if you did like it, send it maybe to a friend you think might enjoy the videos. You can also hit subscribe if you want to be kept up to date with regards to new videos. You can find us everywhere online as Making Stories. MakingManStories.com is our website. _Making Stories is our Instagram. Those are the platforms where we're most active. And you can also subscribe to our newsletter on our website, which is where lovely, wonderful Claire is sending out a beautiful letter to you every Friday.
Every Friday, without fail. And also, you can just email us directly if you just want to chat off any platforms. You can email the hello@makingstories.com, or you can email just directly to me, which is claire@makingstories.com. So
yay!
I'm always there.
Alrighty, lovelies. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait for the next episode.
I know, it's been fun. Yay!
Yeah, it's been fun. Alrighty, lovelies. Take good care.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We're starting a new podcast. Oh, my battery's low.